stock market right now is coiled up tight. Not sure if it's going to break out to the upside and we continue back to new all-time highs, or will that fear and greed index sitting very close to the extreme greed give us that healthy pullback that a lot of us have been wanting sitting after this post-election euphoria. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you're doing absolutely wonderful. My name is Dr. B. I'm a holistic life and business coach and strategist for entrepreneurs and thought leaders. I was a former pharmacist, undergrad in chemistry, and matriculated my way through the last 8 years of full-time entrepreneurship, primarily in the coaching and consulting space. But this skill set of trading and the investment in the financial markets has always been at my heart center, and I wanted to put it out on these public platforms just to give my experience and give it back to the community. So with all that being said, let's jump into today's charts. Fundamental analysis on what's coming, because we have an important day tomorrow where Powell will be chomping his gums yet again. He was very dovish or bullish from the last FOMC meeting where we had those rate cuts, but now he's going to be commenting more again on the inflation data to see if, hey, this may cool us off or does it send us back, and he's still extremely bullish. All right. So with that being said, let's jump into it today and let's get on with it. All right. So really quick, Leverage University is this sponsor. This is my Discord community. My coaching and consulting is housed inside of here. And you can see here that we build businesses, we enhance lives, and we make money in the financial market. So if you're about that holistic realm of life, trying to improve yourself, your relationships, and ultimately this skill set of trading, we'd love to have you. And that being said, here is a little insight into it. You can see here that we've got our crypto section, which we'll talk briefly about. If you go listen to my Bitcoin above 80,000, it has been rampant and running. I'll make a new crypto update very soon. But Bitcoin, we've been giving updates for this whole of the year around the charts, where it's going, where to pick up, where to consider pick up. And we've been just giving complete updates all throughout this year. So it is no surprise that Bitcoin, simply after the halving, has been ripping and running all year long. All right. Some wins. We've been winning in the community, trade ideas here. So congrats to everyone inside of our community. Just winning. We got some strategists. We got some 91%, 25% on SPY. There's our winning signals from yesterday. Called some SPY puts underneath 600, 515 QQQ, and rejection underneath 150 for NVIDIA. Google's fairly weak as well underneath that 182. So just some quick wins I want to just shout out the community with. I did short Tesla a little bit. So there's my slight Tesla short swing on the downside, as it's getting a little bit overextended and just need to cool off. But Tesla overall very strong as it pulls back closer to those supports. We'll see where to pick up the dip. All right. That being said, let's jump into today's value, and let's get prepared for the remainder of the week and into next week. Give our sentiment. All right. Today we had core CPI. CPI came in right in the line at 2.6. All right, so there was a little bit of potential worry if that would have came in a little bit hot, a little bit inflated, maybe close to that 3% or so, but it came in right in alignment. Nothing to be worried about right now. We do have PPI tomorrow to see if that comes in line, and our manufacturers are still having their prices of goods and that index right in line with where they want it. Again, these core CPI inflation data reports, if you don't know, if you're fairly new or you're a beginner, this is how the Fed essentially makes decisions on if they're cutting, pausing, or if they are hiking, whatever it might be. So we've already gotten 2 cuts. There's a projected to be another cut in December, but depending on how this inflation data goes, a lot of investors are looking for that 3rd cut to finish off the year. But if they pause, that could send a little bit of, okay, now we're cooling off on the cuts. Maybe this is the time where we get that little cool off. So we shall see. And you can see here that Powell speaks very close to the end of the day, all the way at the end, which could impart some volatility and into Friday, where we also have retail sales. And then we have some import pricing and things of that nature. So, all right, let's see what some headlines are for today. AMD to lay off 4% of the workforce. That could be a positive thing for AMD. If you didn't know, any layoffs or cutting of fat, healthy fat, it can be a sentiment of concern, or it could be a sentiment they are growing in the right manner to, get off some fat so they can reinvest back into where they need to reinvest. So I do want to pay attention because AMD is starting to come in. It is weak right now. forming lower highs, and we'll see on the charts in just a second. But that's very interesting that they are delivering that news where it is an opportunity to pick up some dips on AMD the closer it gets underneath that 140 level into that 130, 132 level. All right. Hot news today was really Amazon, and I'll jump on the charts for that. But Amazon had some pretty big news. We've got uh, some earnings that have been really good. Shopify had amazing earnings, and we got some earnings that have been lackluster. And we got Disney earnings coming up in the remainder of the week. Fear and greed index. Okay, fear and greed index, very important to pay attention to right here. As you've been watching my videos, for some of you, if you're new, welcome. This fear and greed index gives you the sentiment of the market. So anywhere in greed, typically on the lower end of greed, we're typically in a very healthy market at that time, meaning it's staying bullish. It has more upside. We're pushing up. But the closer it gets to this extreme greed, we typically have a little bit of a cool off. So I do want to be prepared for that coming soon. Don't know when it may be. It may be before it gets to extreme greed, maybe, one more tick up or something of that nature, and then it cools off. But just something to pay attention to as you get a little bit more savvy in the markets to understand when to buy, when we're extreme fear, and when to potentially look at, okay, are we getting a little bit overextended? We need a little bit of healthy pullback on one of the days coming forth. All right. Let's jump into the charts where all the money is made. And let me get rid of this just so there's not any interruption. Sometimes too many things on my screen get things going. All right. I want to thank everybody, too, for all the support on the Robinhood Legend desktop. If you have not gone and checked out some of my beginner videos and also some of the educational videos, these are market analysis and daily updates on, key inflation data or reports coming soon, or if there's a big data event that you should be aware of. So thank you all so much. If you can hit that like button for me, that'd really be appreciative. If you could comment and say, hey, Brian, this has been really helping, keep pumping them out. That, inspires me to keep going for each and every one of you that wants to learn this skill set. All right. So let me move me over here and let's jump into the charts. All right. So one thing I want to pay attention to on SPY, okay, and more so on SPX, is what I was saying at the beginning of the video, is this coiling right here. Okay. Anytime you have a big breakout into a consolidation, it's waiting on the next move. Okay. We have PPI tomorrow. You can see here that CPI was fairly good. So it kind of did some volatility early morning. All right, you see that big candle right here, some volatility, found a bottom, that 595, 594, and pushed all the way back up into 599. All right, now we're coiled back again with some interesting consolidation here. All right, we're still in a bull market, so there's still a possibility that if Powell or if the sentiment of PPI is good, there is a possibility for us to, break out even higher. And this is what I was talking about, is maybe touching 600 one more time and see if that maybe forms a double top or if we push up any higher. All right. Now, the only concern with that right now is that there's lower highs forming, even though we're coiled, right? Just consolidating, same thing. It's forming lower highs each and every day. This high, lower high here, and slightly lower high here. Okay, slightly. It's about roughly even. Okay. However, we did close down here at 597. So if you do consider this close from yesterday, which was right around 596, technically a higher close, but I would calculate it as roughly around even. So was a little bullish strength today. And then it kind of sold off towards the end of the day, which I was looking at this sell off towards the end of the day, and it was pretty drastic. Like, it was pretty aggressive. So that tells me that sellers are still present very much up here. So that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if we start breaking out of this consolidation channel. You want to look for two things on SPY. Number one, if we break back above 599 into 600, if we break it back above 600, watch out for that 600 break to continue up higher into about 603 and pushing higher into new all-time highs. Okay. Now, remember that fear and greed index. If we do consider sellers still stepping in, look for this to maybe fade down underneath this 594 level. We need to break it underneath 594. If we get strongly underneath 594, we could get a little bit more aggressive, into Powell or something like that, down into this 590, 591. Okay. I do believe there's some gap fills down below. It may have already filled a couple. Nope. There we go. So there are some gap fills down into this 590, 591. Those will be your next levels on the downside if we do break underneath the previous lows of 595 solidly. Okay. I like 594 personally underneath it, but as long as it holds above that 595, 594, then it's going to continue showing that bullish hold. All right. Now, one other thing is SPX is sitting underneath 6,000. Okay. So SPX sitting underneath 6,000 and not being able to reclaim it and close above today did show some selling pressure. So look out for that as well for SPX continuously holding underneath 6,000 to push down into that gap fill, right? Potentially 590.20, and ultimately everything on SPX typically, not always, wants to gravitate towards those psychological levels. Okay, so you're looking for that 5,900, which would be sitting right at about SPY 586, 585. Okay, here it is on SPY. All right, roughly about 587 or so, but at that point, it may just want to flush down into 585. However, got to be respectful of this 589, 590. So look out for that on SPX pushing down to that 5,900, 5,920 level. Okay. QQQ. Okay. Tech sector. Tech is, I've been watching, I have been watching the price action on tech as of lately. And we can start to see some fading on NVIDIA off of that 150. Still just can't break through it just yet. Still strong, still holding, but still hasn't broken through that 150. So NVIDIA needs to get through 150 somehow, some way. This you see here, it's just consolidating, coiling up. So look out for that 150 break of NVIDIA. If it breaks out above 150, you can take calls up. If it continues to consolidate in this channel, look out for this 143 hold. And it's just in this channel right now, leading up into their earnings next week. Google, one of the names that I've been seeing kind of fading a little bit, just slightly. Obviously, Google long-term, great, right? But I was looking at the price action all day, and it's just, wants to cool off. I don't like to say fading or getting weak or bad news or anything like that. But this 182 level right here, right here, right here, right here, it's just coming off of that level more and more. Right there, right there, right there, right there. It's just struggling. So you may want to watch out for Google breaking underneath this 178 level. I think Google contracts move very, very well, in my opinion. So for those, especially for beginners or anyone, I consider Google or Amazon potentially as really nice trading opportunities that it's not too volatile. So now, speaking of Amazon had amazing news today. This break of 212, just absolutely monstrous, right? Had to stop out of, some Amazon puts. And I know some of you may be like, Amazon puts, what are you doing, bro? Just want to be transparent. The reason being is because, yes, it was holding up this 210. We were just looking for a quick scalp off of this potentially 211, this level right here. Okay. So there was still some resistance that was holding up right around in this area, and SPY was starting to get a little bit weak. So once I saw these wicks right here like this, right, and I saw that weakness down, it just kind of just continued back up and then broke above 212. So I did like the 212 break, but with extreme greed and fear, I did not want to personally look at any calls. And now there is potential, if Amazon gets strong again, to move up to try to touch that 220 level. But before then, would love for Amazon to try to just cool off back to about 206 again, or potentially that 210 level. So look out for a pullback on Amazon. It is one of the strongest names. If possible, if you want to do a continuation, look for a break back above 215 and hold and take it up a little bit further. All right. RSI getting a little bit overextended, but sometimes strong names do not care about that. All right. So just look out for that. RSI getting a little bit overextended above 70 on a daily and a 4 hour. All right. Tesla. Okay. All my Tesla bag holders. Okay. 330. Okay. Let's see if it holds up. Ideally, we'd want a little bit lower into that 320 range. And it did bounce off of that a little bit today. So you can see here on Tesla, let me bring this RSI back down. Right around here, about that 320. So it is holding that 320. If we get below 320, right, then that is where Tesla personally will get a lot weaker. So it's holding up that 320 pretty nicely. If we start to fade, or if this potentially is just a nice breakout like this, then that's a possibility as well. Look for Tesla to hold up that 320. If you start to see some basing and some strength, you can take Tesla back up to about 340 and potentially back up to that 350 range, which is crazy, but it is what it is. um, let's see. What are some other ones? Let's look at Shopify. Okay. Shopify is still building from its earnings. Ridiculous. Absolutely amazing chart. It was just building, and this was that pop. This was that breakout pop that everyone was personally looking for, waiting on Shopify. I missed this, missed it, had it on radar, and just absolutely missed it. So what do you want to look at for Shopify here at this point? You want to see, in my opinion, some type of sign or signal to where it potentially has the ability to cool off. Okay. Now, why do I say this? Is because after a big move like this, it can consolidate for a little bit and potentially want to push up regardless of anything, maybe up to a 120 level, a psychological level, and just finish off the week strong. So we've got 2 more days in the week. It could just try to push up a little bit further and maybe consider how it looks at the end of the week. But pullback longs on Shopify, support would be right around 100. So I'd look for this support to step up right about 100, right around here. Okay. Broken above 100 very solidly. Going into retail sales, going into holidays, Shopify ultimately wanting to get back up to these highs, 150 plus. So any pullbacks on Shopify, if we can get any lower, that'd be great. Back into like 92 or so, but I'm gonna mark this 100. Now, if you want to short Shopify, it's going to be, you need a signal. You need some type of sell signal to get this gap fill or a pullback. So if you want to short it, I understand a lot of folks, even myself, anytime I get a big overextension like this, a big move, RSI is way out of range here on a daily and a weekly and a ultimately 4 hour, then you can look to give that some time. So what that would look like, it would look like coming out to December 20th potentially and looking at maybe the 110s potentially as a cool off, as a starter. Not giving in financial advice here, obviously, but you could look at these contracts maybe even out until January potentially, just for a slight cool off. And this could be a day trade, right? Like the 100 puts potentially, you could look at that to see if it gets that pullback back into 100 and take that down. But ultimately, with this strength, bull flagging like this, it's hard to short that type of thing, even with an overextension. So awesome job on anyone who took this. I mean, contracts, sheesh. Snowflake starting to pick up some steam here. I had a trade idea on Snowflake. It's got earnings coming up the 20th, same day as NVIDIA. So Snowflake's starting to pick up some serious steam here. Made a nice move today. Contracts moved almost 200%. So Snowflake's starting to build up some steam here. And I like this area around this 120 coming off of it. It's got a target. I got a price target short term around 150. I do believe Snowflake can come lower potentially. So I do not want this to be the big move, but this could be a nice little relief bounce off of here. If we can get a little pullback, then you can take it back up. But keep an eye on Snowflake. It's starting to build some steam. Another charts that I do personally like are anything going with cybersecurity. So cybersecurity sector, I love personally, and ZS is one of them. So I love the ZS chart. Told the community that above this 200, if it continues to hold 200 and 210, it may want to try to retest these highs up here at 253. So CrowdStrike already moving, PanW gone, but ZS has some room. So I love this chart on it. It's broken out above this bull flag consolidation, starting to break out. So you look at ZS if you like. I'm trying to see if any other names. Disney has earnings coming up, so Disney's chart is looking amazing off of this level here. Will it want to test back this 120 level potentially? Nike still fading. Starbucks got above 100 and then started to fade off of it, starting to build again. Well, that's my summary. That is my summary. Thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate you. If you could hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. I know a lot of you are watching these videos, especially the tutorial videos. If even a percentage of you could hit that subscribe button, that would help me out a lot. That would be so appreciative. I thank you so much. Any videos you'd like me to see or make, around any particular ticker, let me know down below in the comments. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.